What's up, Chicago? I'm with my boys Darius and BJ, and we are on a very exciting journey together tonight. We're going to talk about everything Chicago Bears. There is so much information to unpack, so just put your seatbelt on and enjoy the ride because there's a lot going on in Chicago, and it isn't even week one yet. So much going on. It's so cool. I just recently left a festival. And but we'll get back to that in a little bit because we have a very special guest in the building, and we are so excited to have him. Ladies and gentlemen, a Pro Bowler of all Pro Bowlers, a very exciting man, a guy that put the hustle behind his muscle and all the sculpted and all the work that he does still to this day, man. Physical specimen, looked like he's still in his 20s. He found the fountain of youth down in Los Angeles. I don't know how he did it, but I'm about to ask him. You're about to ask him. You're about to see him. He's going to embarrass all of our dad bods. Ladies and gentlemen, I proudly present to you Brendon Ayanbadejo.
What up, y'all?
Yeah.
What's going on?
Welcome.
Man, we're big fans. We're happy you're on the show, man. And about to have a little bit, spend some time with us, man. How you doing, brother?
Man, I'm doing all right. My kids are running around driving me crazy. I'm like, man, I got this podcast I got to go on. I need it to be quiet. Like, I need to focus. Of course, they don't let me have any of that. So I'm trying to sneak away for a little bit while we're on the show and get out of the crosshairs and the crossfire with all the kids and screaming. But I made it.
Well, one of your teammates, Quasi Mitchell, was so awesome because the only quiet place he could find in his whole entire house was a little pink room that was his daughter's, and it was so precious how you could see that, and then every once in a while his boy would come in. He's like a receiver, and he wanted to get a little bit of light, and it was pretty cool, man. So it's cool and refreshing for us to see you guys have these, regular lives and stuff. And but hey, listen. We want to talk about what's going on with you right now. We want to talk a little bit of Bears, a little past Bears, all that kind of stuff. So, hey, man, what's been going on? How you doing?
Man, I'm doing good. As you know, we hung out just, I don't know, maybe it was a month ago. We were hanging out at the Hall of Fame, which was really cool.
Yeah.
Pull that picture up. It was my first Hall of Fame that I'd been to. And it's just crazy when you're around all those gold jackets in one place.
Yeah.
Like you see it on TV, like you're used to seeing people on TV and seeing famous people on TV. But when you're around all those people and then their friends and their families, it's just a surreal experience. And, from a fan's point of view, I bet it's even more bonkers. But just being a former player and being around the greatest of the great, the 1% of the NFL is just crazy. So like the moment I got there, I went to the Gold Jacket dinner where all the inductees received their jackets. And then all the other players are there already in their jackets, and guys are crying and giving each other hugs and doing all that stuff. But just to be sitting in that room and watching guys get their jackets, it was pretty amazing. So I'm still in awe over that. I'm excited about the next NFL season coming up. I'm not excited about some of the new special teams rules, but I'm definitely excited that football's back on. And kids just got back in school. So life is, we're out of summer, we're into football. So this is like the best time of year. You got football, and that takes us to the holidays and the new year. So I'm really excited about that.
Take us back to that moment where you saw your teammate, Devin, up on the stage and some of the things he was talking about with special teams and all that. And quite possibly right now the GOAT, and probably forever the GOAT, the way this Funny Farm's been running with these special teams and all this. Kind of looks like a giant long run or something. Like what would you say that is? What's going on there, bro?
Yeah, so as far as Devin goes, you could tell that, you had the greatest of the great. You got, whether it's Pep or Andre Johnson or whoever it is, you could tell that it meant so much more to Devin than the other guys. And not to take away from the other guys, but there's been defensive ends in the Hall of Fame. There's been receivers in the Hall of Fame. There's been defensive tackles in the Hall of Fame. But there hasn't been a guy like Devin Hester in the Hall of Fame. So for him to be the first one to get in doing what he's doing, and that's on the heels of the rules changing, there's probably not going to be, unless there's a guy that played in our era that goes in that's a returner. Like, I just don't foresee a returner going into the Hall of Fame. I foresee him being kind of the only one. But with that being said, now we are where we are now, and the rules in the game is very different than the game that we played in the football that we're accustomed to seeing, whether it's receivers being able to hit DBs, whether it's DBs or anybody being able to hit receivers or quarterbacks, and special teams and all the rules. The good thing about these new funky rules is that the favorite guys that you love to see him play, they're going to be healthier and they're going to play. The favorite guys that you love to see him play, they're going to be healthier when they're not playing anymore. Now, that comes with the sacrifice of the game not being as pure as it used to be. And with that being said, if you have healthy guys playing at a high level, then you're going to see more entertaining games. Now, for the sport, just the purity of the sport, is it better? No. But for the longevity of the game and the players, is it better? Yes. So it's kind of one of those things. It's a double-edged sword,
And you know what? I will say this real quick before the boys tag team in. It was refreshing to see how humble Devin was, and he was talking about Mitchell and other, like, he's like, I might be the first returner, but I ain't the last, and let's get him in. You know what I mean? It was just so cool the way he said that, and you felt it, like he was very like open and honest about it, and he wasn't like he shared his his biggest day with everybody, and him, but the others too. Like, it was refreshing to see how important it was to have their families and friends like you around, and share that moment and all that kind of stuff. And believe me, brother, I wanted to go all in and be like, hey, Brandon, I'm Brandon, and and all that kind of goofy stuff.
I was going to ask you why your mom spelled your name wrong. But I posed the question though, like, how do others go in? Like, he had to break every single record to get in. So now you're gonna put the second best and the third best in? I just don't see it happening. I hope they do. I hope I hope more guys get in, but like, how?
To answer your question, there was a lot of bad decisions made in the 70s, and spelling my name wrong probably was one of them. Anyway, so what do you guys got? Any questions for him? Well, let's kick it off, man. What do you got, Darius?
Yeah, hey Brendon, hey, thanks for being on with us tonight. I wanted to ask you, with you being a West Coast guy, what drew you to the Chicago Bears? I have another question behind it, but I'll let you answer that one first.
I'm gonna just call you D-Lock because that just goes hard in the paint. D-Lock just goes hard. But but real talk. I was born in Cook County Hospital. I grew up.
Nice.
I grew up in the Lathrop Homes Project, so diversity in Clybourne back when it was real. So I grew up in the streets of Chicago. Really, there's a little park called Hamlin Park, and then there's California Park, Cal Park. So I lived in Cali. I lived in Chicago till I was 10, and then I moved to California.
Okay.
So honestly, for me to go back and to be a Chicago Bear was a dream come true.
I bet.
Because I grew up watching the Cubbies, who were right down the street, but the only team giving free tickets was the White Sox. So old Comiskey, obviously the Jordan era, the Sweetness era. Rick Sutcliffe and all these different guys from the Cubs and the White Sox, so I grew up in that era. But so it was really special for me to come to Chicago, and really, like, not only was it in my DNA, but the way that the Bears play football in the black and blue division and in the NFC North and whatnot. Like, that's how I'm built too. So it to me, it doesn't matter. Like, is it a Chicago summer and we playing in 100 degrees, and we know more people die in the summer in Chicago than die in the winter, or are we going to play in a blizzard? Is it going to be negative 15 with the wind chill and all that? So that's how I play football. Either way, I'm just going to have my jock strap and a cutoff T-shirt on, like no sleeves, none of that. It could be 100, it could be negative 15. So to be in Chicago and play in Chicago, like, I was cut from that cloth. So it meant everything to play for the Bears.
Right on. One more. You came in to Chicago in an interesting era. We were right there. We were on our way to being something special. But could you foresee Devin Hester and the special team group being as successful as they were when you first got here?
Man, you know what? They brought me in to build that. You know what I'm saying? And to do it better than they've ever done it. And they always did it at a high level. So, like, I knew I was there to build something special. And then the investment they made in Devin, same thing. They made that investment in me. and then with just the players and everybody that they put around us, So I did foresee that. I saw it coming when I was traded from the Dolphins to the Bears.
Mm-hmm.
Coach Keith Armstrong, he was the former Bears special teams coordinator.
Yeah.
He pulled me aside. He's like, "This is the best thing that's ever happened to you." He's like, "You don't see it right now, but I promise you, this is gonna be the best thing that ever happened to you." And it really was.
Yeah.
So, and then the way that Lovey likes to build his teams around defense. So every team
Right.
I've ever been on was built around special teams and defense. I never really had a good offense until Joe Flacco showed up and
Oh,
we put the
man.
offense together. But I'd always been around, these teams that I might not have. To this day, I don't have a Hall of Fame teammate that played offense. I got a bunch that play defense. Maybe Marshall Yanda or somebody will go in from the Ravens. But yeah. So I mean, I could foresee it coming, and that's the way the team was built. And in fact, before I was traded, we played the Bears in the preseason in the Hall of Fame game. And I was like, okay, this team is real. I saw Tommy Harris so big and moving the way he was moving, and Tank, and the way Lance Briggs and Urlacher, the way they were flowing and going. I was like, man, these boys are real. And I didn't even know what that Tampa 2 style defense was. I never played in that Tampa 2 style defense. So yeah, I wasn't surprised. And then I ended up, getting traded like damn near a couple weeks later and becoming a Bear. And I was like, okay, this is the type of football I want to be around.
What a blessing. Yeah, I appreciate you, man. What you got, BJ?
All right. Thanks for being on. I've been a big fan of yours since you were playing. I have a quick question for you. Do you think the special teams, how the special teams is constructed now, does it favor the returners or the defense more?
Yeah, well, I think they're always going to do things that favor the offense. Anything in today's game, if you can't touch receivers after 5 yards, the Patriots, they won a bunch of Super Bowls touching the receivers before 5 yards.
Yes,
on special teams with what they're doing, I think it's a mixed bag, but I still think that the returner has the advantage because you have guys that are starting from a stop. You know what I'm saying? Whereas when I was playing, I can line up 15 yards behind Robbie Gould. And as long as I cross the line when he crossed the line, I'm going 20 miles an hour already. And these guys are coming from a stop. So I think it favors the return game. But I think the guys also got to get used to it. Like nobody ever played football like this before. So I think there's a high ceiling and we haven't reached that ceiling just yet. I mean, you're literally seeing guys have just started practicing it for a summer. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So when it starts to evolve and there's going to be new techniques and new plays and plays that we haven't seen before and things that evolve off of this, we'll see what that is. But it's completely different than how we played the game before. So yeah, definitely the advantages to the returner, but also the defense gets smarter too. So you'll see like 1 year or early in the season, offenses are better. And then later in the season or the next year, then defenses are better because they have a better beat on things. But I think naturally just watching it, okay, the game is safer, but it's also better for the returner as well. That's just my take. And honestly, like I haven't watched really any preseason games. I watched a couple of plays and I've seen maybe a couple of returns just here and there when you see highlights. I haven't seen much action on it. But if I'm on the field either way, I'm eating. So it ain't going to affect me. I'm going to eat out there regardless.
I heard that.
I'm about 20 years late, though.
I have a follow-up to that. Now, I know you kind of said it kind of favors the returner on special teams. But in my personal opinion, I think special teams was kind of getting boring, at least for the last few years. I think this kind of brings more excitement to special teams again, because now I think his ability to see returns kicks get returned, because before they're just kicking out of bounds. Most of the kickoffs were being kicked out of bounds.
Yeah, BJ. I mean, I don't even know why they moved the ball up. They should have just kept it back where it was.
Kept it back where it was. Yeah.
So I went. We've gone through since I played. I don't know, they kicked the ball from it was the 30 or whatever, and now it's the 35, and then so they moved the ball up, and then they made it so the guys running down the field, the kickoff team, can only stand 5 yards from the ball. And then now they've changed the iteration again where the ball is wherever it is, but guys line up at a completely different line and they're 5 yards or whatever it is apart from each other. So we're going on the third iteration. Like, why not just leave it? And also they took the wedge out. They took out certain things that the offense the kickoff return team can do. So we're now here 3, 4, 5 iterations of what football is compared to the way that we grew up playing football.
Yeah.
Now I understand if you want to make the game safer, change some of the rules or do this or that, but as long as you put the ball in play, then the game's going to be more fun, right? So they some of the mistakes they made, it was taking the ball out of play. And now they're trying to put the ball back in play, but they want to do it extra safe, just like you can't hit the quarterback in the knees and you can't do this and do that. So, they're trying to make the game offensive and point scoring and keeping guys safe. But like football's the game where like I grew up playing, like I didn't know if any play was going to be my last play. That's why I had to make every play my hardest play.
Right.
So I don't know if just guys have that same mentality anymore. The game's a little bit, it's a little bit different. I mean, there's a ton of rules. If you went through the rule book, I mean, there's probably 100 rule changes and regulations and things we couldn't even, if our coach didn't want to give us water, we wouldn't get a water break. You had to earn a water break when I grew up playing football. Now that's child abuse.
Now that's
waters for the workers, man. Waters for the workers.
Yeah. Right.
Hey, it's like somebody said this not too long ago when they first saw, I think it was the Hall of Fame where we got to actually take a look at it. And they're like, you need a school, you need like a degree in order to keep up with all the stuff that's going on and whatever. And it's like the one thing you don't want to do when you're playing football or probably any sport, BJ, you probably heard this from your dad. You don't want to think. You don't think, you just do. When you start thinking, think long, you think wrong. You just gotta, instinct. And that's what I love when I played special teams, obviously not at your level, but you're running full speed, they're running full speed, and it's just all instinctual, and whatever happens. Let's go, baby. You know what I mean? So
I think the guys will get to that, but you're changing the rules, you're changing the guys that played, they started when they were 10.
Yeah,
and they're 25 now, 15 years later. I mean, it's different. I think they'll get back to that, but also you got to think like these are just little step changes all the time. They're making these little step changes. Then you start to drill it. You can pick up and change and adapt to it pretty quickly. But I mean, it's definitely, you take a guy like me, I'm not watching what the rules committee and all the rules that they're changing. And then also I see these big changes. I'm like, man, that would be tough for guys like me and you, Brandon, to adapt. But I think, they're doing step changes for these guys. So, you're right though. You don't want to be sitting there thinking about nothing. You just want to be able to practice it and then execute in the games.
And they did say, I did hear somebody say, I didn't hear from anybody important, but they might be more important to me, obviously. But I did hear something like that there's potentially like where they could reverse this. Like it doesn't have to stay forever. Like they could totally go back to the way it was. This is just something they're implementing and testing out. And I'm like, how does that sound? That sounds like,
can we do it at Pop Warner? Do we got to do it? Do we got to do this in the NFL? Can we test this?
You got to experiment.
Yeah, all the rules are reversible though. They can go and change any rules that they want to.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they revise it every year. Every coach,
I got you, dude.
Coaches meeting.
They have the rules committee that gets together every year. Yep.
Yeah. Now I'm gonna try to establish a little patience with this special team thing. I also
D-Lock, you got patience. If anybody that needs patience, it ain't you, bro. So if you're saying you gotta wait,
I'm just saying, this really
I just said
gonna take some getting used to, bro. It's gonna take some getting used to, but I do respect the minds in the NFL on all the teams because there's some pretty creative guys in these locker rooms that's on these coaching staff. So in the back of my mind, I want them to reverse it. But, I understand that the intent is coming from a good place. Safety is very important. And these guys have families and they're going to have, most of them are going to have other things that they do outside of the game. So I respect it to that level. But, man, I'm just going to be patient, man. But
what's wild? No, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I'm just saying it's just not the football where you're at, D-Lock. I'm with you. But, yeah, we'll see. We'll see how it goes. I will say though, when they started implementing the whole thing with not hitting the receivers 5 yard, when you couldn't touch them after 5 yards, it did open up the game, right?
Yes, indeed.
So now we have the game that we have today. That I can't lie, it's more exciting than ever. Like I love watching the game. I love playing fantasy. There's all kinds of receivers. It's a little bit harder to find the running backs, but the receivers, they got a bunch of great receivers. The quarterbacks are better than we've ever seen. Like there's guys that are on pace to be as great as any of the all-time greats. There's probably 7-8 guys in the league right now that are as good as the all-time great quarterbacks, which is crazy.
Wow.
But I mean, obviously, the game's a little bit different, but they're breaking all kinds of passing yardage and touchdowns and so on and so forth. So, I mean, we're getting some really quality football. It's really entertaining and exciting to watch. I don't know, one night on Monday night, we were watching Kansas City and the Rams play. These fools done scored like 70 points each. Like, there ain't no defense out there. But, man, that was an exciting, fun Monday night game. Or maybe it was a Sunday night. But, like, this is the kind of football you're getting versus, back in the day where you see, a 0-0 or a 3-0. You ain't going to really be getting none of those no more, right?
Yeah, it was I'm sorry, go ahead.
With today's physicality and the way you take care of your body and everything, with the special teams the way it is now, I mean, you think you could go out there and perform at a high level
right now in this body?
Yeah,
man, I'm about to be 47 years old. I'm about to be 48 years old. There's no way I would.
Bro, you saw that video of Tom Brady pumping 240.
My question though is a quarterback a football player?
Fair enough.
I mean, with no disrespect, is a quarterback a football player? Some of them are. Some of them are football players. I ain't gonna lie. Some are football players, but football is what? It's blocking and it's tackling. If you don't know how to block and tackle, then I just got a question like, are you even a football player? So, and that goes with some kickers as well. Some kickers are football players, and some are out there kicking footballs. Some quarterbacks are football players, and some are out there throwing footballs. You know what I'm saying? So, and Tom Brady is the best quarterback of all time for now. He's the best quarterback of all time, but he's not a football player.
Okay, all right, fair enough.
I mean, I'm with you.
That's the first time I ever heard it put like that.
Yeah,
but
me too,
sense.
man.
It makes sense.
Hey, don't make me go viral for all the wrong reasons.
Hey, man,
no disrespect. He's the GOAT.
Listen,
he's the greatest quarterback of all time, but he's not I'm sorry, he's just not a football player. So.
Hold up. So first, we've got to fix my name tag to Brandon spelled wrong, Darius Lockhart to D-Lock, and then Tom Brady the GOAT to not NFL, not for long.
I'm rolling with the D-Lock, bro.
You can fix it right now, bro.
I ain't lying, dog. It goes hard.
That's good, man. It's good. It fits you great, man. And guess what? You got it from Pro Bowler Brendon, man.
Pro Bowler, yes, indeed.
Yeah.
That's definitely sticking.
So what was that like? Like, did you even think that year that you were gonna get Pro Bowl? And I was talking to Wooten about this yesterday about him coming on, and I was asking how to coin like my headline and all this kind of stuff because he's got inside info being your teammate and all like what it was blah blah blah. And then so together we put this together. And then he was the one that was dropping knowledge about your Pro Bowl season. I had to recall back about that and walk us through what that was like, your preparation. Was it more so that year? Was it a surprise? Were you caught off guard? Or what was going on, brother?
Well, honestly, to tell you the truth, when I was in Miami, I was like a Pro Bowl alternate my second year in the league.
Okay.
Shit, maybe even my first year in the league when they saw me playing, because it took me – it took me 3 seasons to get into the NFL. I got cut 3 times before I made it. So I came into the league in 99, got cut. And I go to Canada, come back. I'd sit on the couch. I'd watch football. Then I'd try out for another team, get cut. I was with the Bears one summer, got cut. Urlacher's rookie year. Mike Brown's rookie year. And then went to NFL Europe, got cut, sat at home, went back to Canada, and then I finally made it into the league. And I think my first year I was like an honorable mention. And then my second year in Miami, once again, I was an honorable mention. So I'm like, okay, I'm going from the AFC to the NFC. So my first year in Chicago, I was like, I'm going for the Pro Bowl. Like I already know I'm the best special teams player in the league. But let's see if I can get the recognition from the AFC and bring it over to the NFC. And then again, I think I was a freaking honorable mention. And then I made it my next 2 years. So like I'd already expected to make it. And then I went back to the AFC with the Ravens and I made it again. So I had 3 consecutive years and then I blew out my damn knee. I probably would have made it 4 consecutive years. But I mean, I expected to make it. Like I knew I was the best. I worked as if I was the best. And I showed up every single day like I was going to lose my job, just like I played every single play like it was going to be my last play. So when you put that much just determination and grit and commitment into something, like there's no way I could have been denied. So I wasn't surprised. Like I'd been an alternate 2 times, so I was happy I finally like cracked the code and I made it. But yeah, no, I wasn't surprised. It'd be like asking, Ray Lewis, like, are you surprised that you're all pro, or Urlacher that you're all pro? Like, no,
Yeah.
D Hess, D Hess, even his rookie year, like, are you surprised he done broke the record at 8 touchdowns? No, I'm not surprised. Like, I put in the work, I earned this. But I was just glad that to finally get the recognition for it, even though like I'd put in the same type of work and I'd played the same caliber the 2 years before that, but finally cracked the code and got it. Actually, yeah, I did it my 4th year.
I guess the better question would be, were you surprised the years that you didn't get it? Because it sounds like you could have got it many years too behind that. And was that potentially why you told me that, Lovey had coined you the 12th man on defense? Was that all behind that? Or take us through that day when that happened, or when it started? Did he just drop it on you, or what was that? How did that end up?
Yeah. When you put in the work for something and you don't get the recognition, like you're not doing it for the recognition.
Right.
You have a bigger call, a bigger task, a bigger calling. So I was always going to work and be a dog no matter what. Like I didn't get a scholarship out of high school. I didn't get drafted, even though I was all first team then it was the Pac-10 conference. So like I never got the recognition. I always had to work, I had to kill everything that I ate. So yeah, I wasn't surprised that I didn't make it, because that's just the way my career has always been. I've always been a dog, but when you grow up in the projects and you grow up on government cheese and welfare, like, of course, I'm always going to outwork whatever anybody's expectations are of me, and I'm always going to outperform, even though I'm always an underdog. So I was used to that. So it was great when I finally did get the recognition, but I didn't do it for that. I was out there. I wanted to win championships. I wanted to be the best at what I did. And we did all those things. And then as far as Lovey goes, it was kind of like a blessing and a curse. I was telling you, one day Lovey pulls me aside, and this was after I played some defense, but mostly played special teams. He's like, BA, he's like, come over here. I want to holler at you for a second. He's like, you know what? You're like our 12th starter. I'm like, well, there ain't 12 starters. There's only 11 guys on the field. There ain't 12. He's like, you're such an impact on special teams that you might as well be a starting player. I'm like, well, go ahead and start me and put me on defense, because I'm not here to just sit here and play special teams, But I think that my impact was more on the field, that they wanted me 100% on special teams, because I could affect the game so much on special teams like no player had ever done before. When it comes to a guy that's blocking and tackling, not a returner. When it comes to a guy that's purely blocking and tackling, and I always told Devin, I'm like, it's 10 on 10 out here, Devin. If I'm on the field, like, it's 10 on 10. So you're always gonna, you're playing on a bigger football field. Basically, it's Canadian Football League for you, because they play on a bigger field but they play 12v12. But for you on this field, on this size, it's 10v10. Whenever I'm on the field and you're returning, like, your guy he's gone. So just X him off the board. And so Levy just told me the same thing in the opposite way. Brendon, you're our 12th starter, so you're gonna be on the bench on defense, basically.
Okay. Hey, I had a lovely question, but I want to take it back a little bit. Was it any other sports that gauged your interest, like growing up? Did you play anything else?
Yeah, D-Lock, I lettered in 5 sports in high school, and football wasn't even my best sport. I think wrestling was my best sport. But
I figured.
You look like a wrestler, yeah.
Yeah, but the funny thing is, I played basketball my freshman, sophomore, and junior year. I played basketball, and then my senior year, I decided to wrestle, and that was my most success. I went to state. I was actually offered a scholarship for wrestling, the only sport I was offered a scholarship in. But the school that offered me a scholarship, they're a top 10 team in the nation, but they didn't have a football team. So I'm like, okay, I ain't gonna do that. And then I did track, baseball, basketball, football, and wrestling. So lettered in 5 sports in high school. But yeah, I mean, my love was, at certain times I love baseball more than basketball more, but I think football was what I was designed to do, and eventually fell in love with that sport and just the physicality and the way you play the sport. But man, wrestling was no joke. It's my only sport I played that wasn't a team sport. It's serious out there.
Yeah, dog eat dog.
Being in Santa Cruz, I thought you would be like a volleyball, surfer dude or something, man.
Hey, where coming from Chicago, we ain't having that. We ain't having that. I tell people, when I moved from Chicago to Santa Cruz, California, I went from gangsters to granola. But but my DNA was already forged in those streets of Chicago. So yeah, I mean, I did all that stuff, and don't get me wrong, like I did junior lifeguards and did surfing, and because I grew up on the lake anyways, you know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
So being on the lake and then going to the ocean, that was real, because the ocean is a completely different animal than growing up and being in Lake Michigan. Then you go to the Pacific Ocean, bruh, it's a whole different. Yeah, it's a whole different. So like my parents wanted me to like, okay, like you grew up in Lake Michigan, like let's see what the ocean's like. They threw me into junior lifeguards. That shit was crazy. And so yeah, I mean, we did surfing, we did skateboarding. Like I did all those things as a California kid did and should do, and did mountain biking and all these different crazy sports. But and that's how our parents really kept us out of trouble. But I think it really built my conditioning, and while I was able to outwork other people, because I could go swim in the ocean, I could ride my mountain bike. Then when it came to football and being a dog on the football field, like I already had this high conditioning level, so I could just outwork everybody.
Right on.
I did all of that. I'm from Visalia near Fresno area, the San Joaquin Valley. And I tried all that stuff, surfing. I got my butt whooped.
Right.
Skateboarding, I got my butt whooped. I was decent at basketball, but they throw them bows down there in the paint, and really and football was where my calling was at, and all that before I went to the military. And then afterwards, but man, I'll tell you what, if you can't get on that surfboard and ride it right, you will get your butt whooped all damn day long. The freaking surfboard hits you in the head, the leash around your neck and around your legs and stuff, and bam, bam, bam. Then under the water,
people don't understand how hard it is to surf, and then just getting out there, just getting through the surf to get to the wave. You know what I'm saying? Like, because you ride the wave out, or just getting out in the ocean. But the funny part is you get that nipple rash, though.
Yeah.
Surf, and all of a sudden you got this nipple rash. You're like, oh, this rash is killing my nipples.
Yeah.
There's no way they'll get me on a surfboard.
Nope. It is dangerous too. I mean, the rip currents, and you got sharks, and it's wild out there.
Yeah, I died several times. I was in the Navy, and I learned just float, baby, just float. You don't swim in that stuff. You float and wait for somebody to come get you.
Yeah, Mother Nature's one fight you ain't gonna win against.
No.
Hey, I like my view from the sand, buddy.
Hey, if there's bikinis on the beach, you can find me right there.
Get in the water?
Hey, what? No, man.
It's
too beautiful. Hey, the water's too beautiful for me, man. I can't take it.
He got the big eyes out there looking around.
No, sir.
Hey, I have a question for you. I have a quick question. Who was your biggest motivator growing up? Not like a.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Not a professional coach or college coach, but growing up, who gave you the greatest motivation?
Yeah, well, my brother's 18 months older than me, Ayanbadejo, and he played in the league and he did everything I did. But like, I wanted to emulate everything he did. And he was kind of like the icebreaker for me. I tell everybody the same story. And his goal was not only to make things easier for me, but for me to do them better than he did them. And we basically did all the same things. He won a Super Bowl with the Ravens. I won a Super Bowl with the Ravens. We both played.
That's tight.
We both played 10 plus seasons in the NFL. We didn't have a football background in our family. So yeah, and like even now to this day, like we both have our MBAs. We're both entrepreneurs. So like the competition in my house was more fierce than it was in any locker room. We seriously got into the craziest fights. We had whole police forces come to the house. We'd throw each other through drywall and through doors, and we'd be fighting each other damn near to the death. And then like, oh, I'm not trying to kill my brother, but like, okay. But yeah, so like I grew up in a very competitive household with my brother. And he also wanted, he wanted me to always do better than him, which was like the ultimate sign of just being an older brother. So yeah, I mean, he was my motivation and inspiration. Also, like sometimes he had to play the father role, and when we're taking the L in Chicago or taking the bus and getting our transfers and doing all that stuff, like I'm going with him, and he's showing me around the city, and he's helping me be street smart or get better at football, or we're lifting weights. He got me into weightlifting and training and all these things because he was doing it before me. So yeah, no, he was a big inspiration for me. I was lucky to have a brother that was that close, and then also for us to have that much in common as well.
Yeah,
you're a true Chicagoan, because only true Chicagoans call the train the L.
Yes, sir.
That's a true Chicagoan.
Man, I'm trying to tell y'all.
I respect that.
Hey, Brendon, why Westwood, man?
Why UCLA?
Yeah,
man. You know what?
Dang, you took my question.
I was living in Santa Cruz, right? And Santa Cruz is
Uh-huh.
about 360 miles from LA. I'd been to LA a couple times, and I was offered like San Jose State. I'm like, nah, I'm probably not big enough for me. There's Cal Berkeley, which it's a great academic school. So is UCLA. But I'm like, man, I need to be somewhere that's a little bit further from home, but also like being a Chicago guy, I'm like, I love to be back in a city, and be back in a real city. So then you got like guys like Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, you got Arthur Ashe, and you're just thinking like you have a lot of guys that are changing culture and changing society. Jackie Robinson. So they had the academics, but they also had people that were athletes that were changing culture and changing society. So I'm like, okay, I think I fit in at UCLA. And I sent them my tapes, my film, really literally tapes and film. They didn't offer me a scholarship. I was All-American in JUCO. I played 1 year at JUCO. And then I sent them my film, and then they offered me a scholarship, and which was great. I had maybe 10 offers. Rutgers, Purdue, some of the schools I mentioned, San Diego State. UCLA wasn't in the mix until I sent them my tapes, and then they offered me a scholarship. So I'm like, cool, bet, let's do it. And I never looked back.
Yeah, well, that's what's up, man. How you feel about Deshaun Foster, man?
Man, I love Deshaun, honestly. He was my teammate. He was a freshman when I was a senior. He had a great season. Then he had a great NFL career as well. And then he's been working at UCLA for, I don't know if it's the last 10 years or what. He got a job, to go up to the Raiders and be the running back coach, but then he put his name in the mix to be the UCLA coach. And that's the biggest job he had got, was to be the Raiders coach. And then out of the 20 candidates that they interviewed in person, he won the job at UCLA. So, I mean, I live right down the road from where he's at right now. And so I go to UCLA. I've been to UCLA more, and UCLA feels like home again, but I've been to UCLA more since he's been the coach than I've been in the last 10 years.
Yeah, I think go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah. So, I mean, it feels like it's home again. You know what I'm saying? So it's good. It feels good to go back home. And so I'm rooting for Deshaun. We got Hawaii coming up this weekend. But yeah, man, I'm excited about what UCLA is going to do. And then they also signed with Jordan as well. So they finally got we had like Adidas and we had Reebok and Under Armour, but that Nike's going to bring them in. So
that swoosh, baby.
I'm excited about that. Let me turn on some lights up in here. I'm in the dark now. It's the sun's going down.
Yeah, that was a heck of a hire by UCLA, and he got a nice staff around him too, man. I wish you guys were the best.
Yeah, he's got, with everything that UCLA is putting together, they actually put a really good staff around him, and a guy, to have an offensive coordinator like that that's got NFL experience, and to play at the level that he played at in college and whatnot. So, I'm looking forward to seeing what they do. I went to a couple practices. I'm still trying to figure out what kind of defense they're running out there, because they run like left and right side. You know what I'm saying? Like some of the DBs and whatnot. Like I mean, they do that with the safeties. It's fine. Like you see cornerbacks that play left and right side, or you have cornerbacks that play open or closed side or short field and open field. But I just never really seen it with the safeties. So I'm still trying to figure out, like, man, the safeties don't rotate. They just stay on one side.
Should be interesting.
Yeah, and then also like going to the Big Ten as well. That's going to be crazy, right? So it's like I'm trying to figure out. Like,
I was just asking you about the Big Ten.
What'd you say?
No, I was just about to ask you about the Big Ten and what.
So for me, I'm like, okay, what is success? Not only are you in a new conference, you also have a first-year head coach, right? And so now you're also not familiar with your opponents. And the style of football is different. I mean, I think we're starting to see a more homogenous style of football with like a spread and a wide open game. But I played against Wisconsin in the Rose Bowl. That was the last team that we wanted to see when I was at UCLA running a West Coast type of offense. And then you got big Ron Dane and all them Wisconsin offensive linemen.
Gosh.
It's a different type of ball, right? So I don't think it's not as much like that as it used to be, but there still is going to be some hurdles with the physicality and the different ways that football is played. And when you go from a spread to playing like more of a running team, then the spread's got an advantage because you can spread them out and outsmart them. And then you play a physical team, they got the advantage because they have the advantage in the trenches on the offensive line and the defensive line. It's not that much of a gap anymore. Teams are running more wide open offenses, but it's going to be tough to gauge like what is success this year, playing the caliber of football in the quality of the teams that they have in the Big Ten. It's going to be tough for sure.
Yeah, my USC's over there too. I'm excited about that and to see what what's going on and whatever. And now there's some big holes to fill and whatnot. So I'm excited to see what happens with it. It is definitely different. I mean, we've always traveled, to Notre Dame and all that, but they're independent. So I mean, it's this area at least, whatever. But it's just like got a weird feel with like two Los Angeles, teams playing Big Ten, but they'll get used to it. They'll get used to it for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I think the great thing for us and why it was a no-brainer for us, obviously it brought in a lot more money to our programs, but also it gets eyes on us because, when you're playing a game on the West Coast and you're playing a 7 p.m. game and that's 10 p.m. on the East Coast, like people really ain't watching football. And if people are up at that time on the East Coast, like they're out. They ain't just at home watching football at that time. But now we're actually playing in time zone. If we're playing, whoever it is, if it's Illinois or Northwestern or whoever, I don't know, Michigan or we're actually playing in their time zone. We're playing their, whether they're at our school or we're at their school. The travel is going to be tough, but you actually have the whole country watching you, whereas before just the West Coast was watching you. Maybe you get Mountain Time in the West Coast, but you definitely weren't getting Midwest in the East Coast. So I think that's a great play by us to jump into a conference that's a better conference than ours.
We used to play flag football early in the morning, and then we would go to church, and on the way back from church, we would be running late for the game. So I started taking my Walkman and I would like put a little bit in my ear and kind of hold it like this, but on the other side away from my mom. And one time, I'd started out, I was a Charger fan. And then when I come back from the Middle East and I moved out here, then I, converted over to the Bears. But back then when I was going, and we're running late and it was towards the end of the service, I'd pop it on, listen to the Walkman, and I'd kind of do this. I'll literally, like, you could hear the dude talk about how he looked like he was off sides, but he wasn't. And he jumped the line and he sacked freaking quarterback. And as soon as that happened, I jumped up and my mom backhanded the shit out of me, man. So, man, she freaking got me.
Hey,
good,
but you weren't
man.
a real one unless you had that Sony Walkman. You ain't a real one unless you had that yellow Sony or that black Sony that Sony Walkman back in the day. And what's funny is you bring up
bro, I didn't have that type of money. I was eating that government cheese, and I liked that government
I found
cheese
a way,
and
dog.
the peanut butter, bro. Huh?
Hey, but you're talking about Seau and the way he did that. Well, like, who emulated that and who also went to USC and then made it to the NFL and emulated that was Troy Polamalu. So Troy got it from Junior. And you see them, you see them Poly boys, they mimic each other and obviously like they're all related in some way, shape or form.
Yeah,
it was great that you got to see it again.
That's like the bloodline. There's like 500 bloodline members for the wrestling WWE, But sorry.
Hey, Brendon, how crazy would it have been if you was at UCLA and had a chance to play that Big Ten schedule? That'd been the best of both worlds, right?
Yeah. Man, when I was at UCLA, we went on a 20-game win streak, the longest win streak in UCLA history. And then Cade McNown was the first-round draft pick. He didn't really work out in Chicago, but he was our quarterback. He was balling. He was a Heisman runner-up. But, man, we had a good team. But we didn't match up well. Back then, we didn't match up well. That team that played then would match up well against today's football because we were running West Coast and spread and wide open and all that stuff. And we had Deshaun at running back. And Mercedes Lewis came right after that. Yeah. But these are the caliber of some of the players that we had. I would have loved to have played in the Big Ten, but Wisconsin, they beat our butts. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so them boys, them big boys, and then Edgerrin James did it the week before that. So we won 20 in a row my junior and senior year, and then we lost 2 to finish out the season. But we were ranked number 1 the whole season. We should have played probably Tennessee. If we would have beat Miami, we would have played Tennessee, and that we matched up better against Tennessee because they're more of a speed team than a power team. But Peyton Manning was at quarterback, and I didn't beat Peyton Manning in my career. I played him twice in college, played him my whole NFL career, 10 years in the NFL. I didn't beat him until the AFC divisional game when I was with the Ravens and we won the Super Bowl. That was the first time. And so we're talking from 1996
Let's go.
to 2013.
Yeah.
I didn't beat Peyton Manning. So,
But you probably had a chip on your shoulder every time you played them.
bro, I had a chip against them, the Patriots, Green Bay, and the Steelers. Those were my three nemesis right there. Green Bay, Patriots, and Steelers. Like, I wanted to murk those teams every time. And then I already knew what Peyton Manning was. And and the Colts that whole time, they were a tough team that whole time. They ran that Tampa 2 as well. And that whole time that they had the whole time that they had Peyton, I mean, they were nasty anyway. But man, yeah, I had a few what they call them, a few vendettas out there during my time in the league.
Yeah.
Hey, if you're talking about Merkin, watch that Kevin Hart where he does the what do you call it, the roast on the goat. Oh my God, he was in the fetal position. He was there. He was like, stop.
Good.
It's enough of the,
I haven't seen the roast yet, but I heard it was good. I heard this
dude,
lady,
you got to see it. Get your popcorn, bro. Let's go.
I heard this lady went hard though. I heard one of the best ones was the lady. Yeah, I heard she just killed it. But yeah, I'm gonna eventually watch it at some point in time. One of these damn kids, if they ever go to sleep, man.
No, you sound like a good dad. I got a question for you, bro, about the whole going back to Hester, circling back to that. He was talking about how in certain times, like, DB, receiver, but then like God, like he took it and he was speaking like life into people, especially youngsters and whatnot, on how like to, have that healthy mindset and go all in on that once it becomes like what you do and stuff. And obviously, you could have definitely played, been one of, the starting defensive players and whatnot, but special teams was your skill set. You know what I'm saying? So how did you put your head in that mindset and just speak like positive into yourself and make it like a good thing? You know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, I mean, I probably felt very much like Devin, in that like I felt like I should have been on the field and never came off the field.
Yeah.
But also, man, I had Lance Briggs in front of me too, so that was tough because Boogie was nice.
Yes, sir.
But I mean, he got hurt here and there or whatever. So there was times where like coach was like, "Oh, we're gonna put in somebody else, even though you've been running at number 2 linebacker. We're gonna put somebody else that's just mid at special teams, but we're gonna start them on defense because we don't want you to come off the field on defense." By the time I got to, or we don't want you to come off the field on special teams to go play defense. But by the time I got to Baltimore, they didn't care where I played. And so like I played more the end of my career than I played when I was young and in the prime of my career. But to answer that question though, it's like, yeah, you're right. Like there's a plan that's in store for you in life, and it's not always going to be your plan. And like Devin put it, it's going to be God's plan. And so you could either fight it, you could embrace it, and you just got to be intuitive and you got to kind of listen to what that course is and what that plan is. Like if you're working at McDonald's, are you living your dream working at McDonald's, or can you be the best that you can be while you're there? You're in one of the best franchises ever created. Are you going to learn the business model? Are you going to learn about, why is McDonald's so successful, why it's consistent, or how they do things, so you can take that skill set and maybe start your own franchise or do something. So it's like you got to listen and you got to be intuitive, and you can't fight what the plan is. Sometimes you just got to go with the flow. Sometimes you got to be humble. Sometimes you got to shut your mouth, put your head down. But somebody's always got it worse than you, unless you're straight up dying or something like that. But you're working, you got a roof over your head, you got food. Like, how do I get better? So I always just had the mindset, like, how do I get better? It's not my time right now. There's a different plan in store. And I think, I always was shooting for the stars, and I landed on the moon. I know they're supposed to say, oh, shoot for the moon. If you miss, you'll land in the stars. But the stars are hella far away. The moon's closer. So, yeah, I still think I landed on the moon. And I was just like, I want to be the best at something in the NFL, whatever that calling is. I never said I wanted to be the best special teams player. That's what I ended up being. But the key was I wanted the best in front of it, and I think I did that.
BJ, Darius, I feel like I'm stuck somewhere in between church and a corporate freaking like motivational speaker over here, man. This guy is preaching, bro.
Man. Hey, listen, man.
This dropping knowledge.
Yeah, listen. This is good motivation talk, man.
Dude,
You know, I feel like I'm in
ready
the
to
locker room getting
go.
ready to go out for a game, bro.
My
Hey,
boss is
let's-
gonna
oh,
be
yeah.
like, "What got into you, bro? You're all about it, man. This is good stuff, man. We got to take you on the road and get you some. Are you a motivational speaker or anything? Do you anything like that?
You know, like I've done it in the past.
Yeah.
But like
You can say-
I want to be around people that I know I can impact and make a difference. So, you know,
Yeah.
knowing that you guys are in the hometown and for the home team, like I'm more willing to do things when I know I can make an impact. And at some point I heard somebody speaking or somebody resonated or something resonated with me and a message resonated with me and it really, you know, it lit the fire under me. So I try to, you know, when I can, I try to do the same thing and I try to give back. I know we had talked about like, oh, Brendon, you know, do you do things and do you get paid? And the first thing I said to you is like, well, it's not about the money. To me, it's like, who am I talking to? Oh, am I talking to the Boys and Girls Club where I grew up, where they gave me free food and they watched me? Like I talked to them for free. Am I going to a penitentiary and am I talking to inmates that are in programs knowing they're never going to get out of the pen and they're in school and they're still trying to better themselves? And you got people out here that aren't in a jail, but the jail's their mind and they're living life and they're not trying to get better. And inmates are trying to get better, but they're never going to see the light. You know what I'm saying? So like, oh, am I talking to them? I'll go talk to them for free. So it's like for me, it's like wherever I can make an impact is where I want to be. And they say if you're in a room where you can't make an impact, then you're in the wrong room, right?
Yeah.
Amen to
Wow,
that. I agree with that.
man.
Influence
That's
is
huge,
powerful, man. The power is always in the influence, man.
Absolutely.
So let's move forward just a little bit. What is your insight on the 2024 Chicago Bears, man?
I was gonna get that was good.
Man, you know, actually, it's like you look at the division and you know what's going on in the division right now. Obviously, you know, Green Bay's coming off of a good season last year. They're putting a pretty good team together. They're missing their two running backs from last year. So, you know, what's going to happen there? We don't really know. Their defense is mid. And then we got a star quarterback coming into the fray. You know what I'm saying? So I think it's going to be an interesting season with the Bears. I mean, I think the Bears have been a very similar team the last several years. And so like, do they finally have the pieces in place? And also like what's going on with our division? You got Cousins is out. So Minnesota is kind of in shambles. You got some things going on in Green Bay. Detroit has been a monster the last few years.
Yeah.
So, but I think, you know, are they getting older, you know? So I think, you know, I think we have an opportunity. I think it's a good time for the Chicago Bears to like, it's time to step up our game and not be at the bottom of the division. And so, yeah, man, I'm really excited to see, you know, what's going on at quarterback, what's going on defense. And I think they have an opportunity to actually make a difference this year. And it's a more interesting season. I think it's going to be a more interesting season going into this year than it had been the last few years. So I'm definitely going to be watching. I'm interested.
Yes, indeed.
What is the one part of our team that you're excited about the most? Positional, linebacker, DBs, receivers, quarterback, any of it?
You know what's funny is being in LA, like I've been watching Caleb play for the last few years.
Right.
And he, you know, I think he's I don't know, one year he beats us, one year we beat him. So I'm really interested to see what he does. You see so much negative stuff on him.
Mm-hmm.
And like there's a reason he was the first overall draft pick, and there's a reason why he did and won all the awards he won when he was in college.
Right.
More times than not, like that's going to translate. So I think that is the story of the Bears. And you're also talking about a franchise that traditionally doesn't have a good quarterback. They usually have a manager in the quarterback position. Even when you have a Pro Bowl caliber quarterback, he wasn't even locked in and tuned in with the team. I think, you know, I have to go back and think like, man, was Jim McMahon really the last best or, you know, the last best? I mean, obviously he won a championship, but like, when did we have a quarterback that was in tune with the team?
Sid Luckman.
What'd you say?
Sid Luckman. That was
right.
That was
so,
the last one.
But like we're not known for an organization that has a great quarterback. So I would love that to be the story. And you see the best teams like they're winning with quarterbacks on their first contract. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah.
And also, like, teams are winning with quarterbacks that aren't the highest paid players in the league. So I think, you know, the Bears have a chance to do something. It's really up to management and how they manage the organization. So yeah, I mean, I think, man, I would love to see the Bears get back to glory. I got my eyes on them. And yeah, I think it starts with the quarterback position. Obviously, it starts with management, but they did the right thing. They picked the quarterback. Hopefully, it's the right quarterback, and I'm really interested to continue to watch him play at this level and see, like, some of the preseason stuff we saw dimes, we saw scrambling, we saw some magic. So I hope that we see that in the regular season as well.
Yes,
And I
indeed. Yes, indeed.
and I feel like earlier you had mentioned you can be a quarterback but not a football player. Since you went all in on Caleb, I almost feel like this could potentially be our quarterback that is a football player.
Yeah, well, I mean, you had guys like Harbaugh. He was a football player. You know what I'm saying? Even McMahon was a football player. And there's been some quarterbacks in between there that could really throw the football, but they weren't necessarily football players.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I think he's pretty well rounded. He's athletic. He can run a little bit. Hopefully he doesn't run too much, because the last quarterback we had, he could run and throw, and now he's in Pittsburgh or whatever, but he just wasn't the right fit for whatever reason. But I think you have a little bit more talent here in terms of not as much athletic ability, but a little bit more football IQ and a little bit more football talent now. So, man, it's going to be an interesting story, honestly.
Any prediction?
Go ahead.
Man, I haven't looked at strength of schedule, home and away. I know that we play in Europe. We got a game in Europe in what?
Yeah. Against the Jaguars.
Yeah, so we got the Jaguars always playing in Europe because their founder is an English dude, I think.
Oh, that's why.
That's why they travel well then. Makes sense.
Yeah, they signed a multi-year contract to always play in Europe, so they play the most games in Europe out of any team as the Jaguars, because
the London Jaguars,
Shahid Khan or Shah Khan, whatever his name is, the owner of the Jags is a European dude, even though he's brown. So like bloodline, he's probably like Indian or Middle Eastern or something like that. But he grew up in Europe. Anyways, so that's why you see so many Jaguar games. And then I know we got the Patriots at home. I might come to that game, which I like that matchup. Go ahead and beat up on the Patriots, because I told you I got that vendetta. I'm still carrying that vendetta against the Patriots.
Oh yeah,
that's a veterans game too for the veterans. So.
Yeah, that's the veterans game that we had talked about, Brandon. But yeah, other than that, I haven't looked at strength of schedule. The divisional games, I think the toughest game in the division is going to be Detroit with the team that they're bringing back. But Green Bay's pretty good. We'll go ahead and take the W against Minnesota. We got to win both of those.
Let's go. They don't have a quarterback.
Right, that's what I'm saying. they don't. So what's up?
Right.
And yeah, so yeah, I don't know. I haven't looked at the schedule, so but we gotta go. It'd be great to make the playoffs. I think it's going to be tough to make the playoffs this year, especially with a rookie quarterback, which is not done too often. But I think if you're able to go 10-7,
I've been saying that too.
If you're able to go 9-8, that's a really good season, and then you build on that. It's kind of like asking, like, what's UCLA going to do this year with a new head coach and going to a new conference? Like, I'm almost like UCLA, we got to go 500. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And that's going to be a good season. Whereas normally you're like 500. That's you got to win 3/4 of your game to have a successful season. But yeah, I think, with the Bears asking them to go 9-8 is even respectable.
Yeah. I know one thing with UCLA, those freaking flyer miles going to be up, baby.
Yeah, they're gonna be up a lot more than usual, because like you think like normally, I think we still play Cal, but like we got games where you got Cal, that's an hour ride. You're just going up to Oregon State, that's 2 hours. Washington, add 30 minutes to that. You got the two Washington teams, and then we'll have some little teams come to us. But even going out to Hawaii's still a 5-6 hour flight for us. But I think that's a good team for us to cut our teeth with and open up with a team that typically plays in the WAC or a lower type of conference, one of the weaker conferences in the nation. Not that they don't have the talent, they still have talented teams. And their frequent flyers, their miles are going to be higher than anybody in Hawaii. Them boys are flying, because to get to California, it's 5 hours. So, and then you go east to California, shoot. But I think obviously we're gonna travel a lot, and I think we go to Penn State, and we go to freaking, we playing some monsters out there.
Y'all gonna have to deal with the elements too, man. Jeez.
Yeah, man. One of the hottest games I ever played in, though, was it when I was at UCLA. We went and played Houston in the summertime.
Oh
man, the humidity and the heat, because like
Yeah.
LA's hot, like LA's gonna be 85 degrees or whatever, but we went to
Desert.
Houston, it was like 110. Goodness gracious.
LA's like the drive when my mom passed in 09, and I was wearing all black, like everybody else, but coming from here over to there in the dry heat, my brother was like, "You all right, man? You ain't sweating." And I'm just like, it's just different, man. It's still hot where I'm at here, but it's more like a humid wet. I got a question for you about leadership, because you were under one of the best leaders that I've ever seen, Lovey. Now, Lovey had a different way of leading, in the sense that, when you look at Buddy Ryan, when you look at Ditka, you got like a drill sergeant type mentality. I grew up in California, even down in the paint playing basketball, like people were like screaming and hitting you with bows and all this kind of stuff, and just kind of like rough and all that. And then, I went into boot camp. I had my drill instructor, and now I'm a steel worker. And just like, that's how you get me to listen, is by screaming and yelling. And I'm like, okay, you got my attention and stuff. But then, Lovey and Tony almost seem like cut from the same cloth. So Tony comes out with this book, and I read it, called Quiet Strength, because I'm really interested in how the heck these guys can get people's attention when they're so damn quiet, almost to the point where I'm like hearing people talk negatively about that because they don't know how. So with your mindset and being coached by him, I think I got his picture from, oh, no, that's Izzy. My bad, guys. Right, here you go. Man, he looks good, man. Look at him. Look at Lovey over here on the far right. What with his mindset in his leadership, what is it about Lovey that can lead you without having that approach, with being like a drill sergeant or whatever?
Yeah, I mean, I think you're talking about, with Dick and Buddy Ryan. I was with Rex Ryan in Baltimore. And so you're talking about emotional coaches that wear their emotions on their sleeves.
Okay.
And a lot of players, when I got to the league, I don't know, I was 21. I played until I was 35, 36 or whatever. But you're young. And so you want to see your coaches be emotional, and then you follow that emotion. And even talking back about Phil Knight in Indiana, throwing chairs out onto the courts and stuff like that. Players ride with those types of coaches. You know what I'm saying? I think in general, like, it's easier for a player to identify with a coach like that because their emotions are out of control. As young men playing football, our emotions can be out of control. Now, can we harness our emotions together to achieve one common goal? Whereas Lovey's the opposite. Lovey's the complete opposite. There is no emotion. He's very stoic. You're not going to hear Lovey scream. I've never heard Lovey curse. All of a sudden, I'm with Rex Ryan, and he's like, "These mother effers, they're trying to steal the food from our houses." And Lovey doesn't do none of that stuff. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, I mean, just to see somebody that powerful and that strong like Lovey do it in an emotion-free way. The telling thing about that is that when we're at the Hall of Fame and they're announcing all these former coaches and all these people and all these celebrities, who got the loudest clap out of anybody that was not a golden jacket? Lovey Smith. So with that quiet storm came respect, accountability, responsibility, and then just a certain level of professionalism that I really hadn't seen from coaches before. So I mean, I loved it. It resonated with me. Lovey's probably one of my favorite coaches that I ever had. My only thing that I wish that I had from Lovey is I wish I got to know Lovey better. But when you don't have emotions and you don't have certain things, like, I just couldn't connect with him on that emotional level. And I also didn't have the maturity to seek Lovey. Whereas the best conversation I had with him was at Devin Hester's party, where I pulled Lovey aside and we just hung out and we chopped it up and we were talking and catching up. And I squeezed Lovey's arm, and man, he was built like a brick shit house. So I think Lovey's really enjoying life. he's respected, he's revered. And for me, it was great to see a black man. And it was just coincidental. Like in that Super Bowl, you had Lovey and you had Tony, the two first black coaches to coach a Super Bowl. They're coaching against each other, and I got to play in that game, which was amazing. Unfortunately, we came up on the short end of the stick on that. But yeah, no, Lovey was amazing. He made a huge impact. And then, like, I think about the way that I want people to see me. I want to be revered. I want to be respected. I don't want to be an emotional guy that makes rash decisions out of emotion. Because when you do that, oftentimes you make the wrong decision, right? So yeah, man, I learned so much from Lovey in my 3 years in Chicago, and I wish I had more time with them. But you can tell how much they love Lovey in Chicago, and just at the Hall of Fame. Like, there wasn't just Bears fans there. You know, you had Texans, you had Colts. What other teams? You had Carolina Panthers.
Yeah.
You had two Bears players going in, and you had the Denver Broncos, right? So, but Lovey got the biggest cheer out of anybody there, and rightfully so. Yeah.
It was loud. First, I was thinking, you know, because of Houston, I'm like, nah, that was just for a short little. It was just, it was Bears, man, and we showed out. There was tons of Bears fans there, and it was when I heard that, it felt good, and that's what I wanted to ask you guys. But y'all were having your moment. Like, what was that like to play for him and get that kind of appreciation and respect for your coach and all that kind of stuff? But you know, you just dropped some knowledge on me, bro, because this is the first time I ever thought about it. I think it was maybe my upbringing and my sister and just everything in general. Like, I didn't realize that that was actually the first like two black freaking coaches, you know, and like, that is cool, man. That's super cool for sure. At the same time, man, that's cool.
Yeah, no, it was amazing. And like, I think, you know, like you said, there was a lot of Bears fans there, but that we weren't the only ones cheering for Lovey, which is why it says so much about Lovey and who he is and what he accomplished in his career. It was really the whole stadium that was cheering for him. So yeah, I thought it was a special moment. And then obviously to be there and to see Mongo go in and to see Devin go in, it was really, I think the Bears did take it over a bit. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You saw a lot of Bears jerseys in the stands. Jordan was there. Pep even has ties to the Bears and gave the Bears props. So you actually, I mean, it was for being my first and probably my last Hall of Fame that I go to and see. If more of my guys go in, I want to go and support them. Like, I should have went for Urlacher. I wish I would have went for Ed Reed and Ray Lewis, and even you know, Jason Taylor, Sayal, and Zach Thomas. These are all guys, like, these are all linebackers for the most part. I think I named one safety, but all the amazing players that I played with, and then the guys that go in the future. So I'll definitely go back, actually, but I don't think anyone will be like that one with the Bears and everybody that was there and the ties to Chicago. It was special.
My guy Eric that was doing the video over by the lockers when you walk right in, right by the, you know, the store, you know, the Hall of Fame store and all that, the lockers where you've got like Mongo's locker, Hester's locker, Pep's locker. He was videoing while I was talking, and I was like, no, don't you dare, don't look down at the bottom of Pep's locker. We don't want to see that, man. That's due to it. It was the Packers. Yeah. We only want to look at the Bears, baby. We only look at the Bears there, man. So, yeah,
I mean, I don't even think of Pep. I think of Carolina, and I think of Chicago. Like, I don't even think of the Packers. You know?
Oh no.
He played for them. He played for that other team.
For that other team.
I don't even want to give him a name.
You know what's funny? You know who did the same thing? As though Mercedes Lewis did the same thing, right? He was in Carolina, then went to the Packers, and now he's in Chicago, which is funny. But man, he's going on like 20 years in the league. It's crazy.
Yeah.
I'm saying, Brandon, it's time to lace him up, baby. Time to lace him up, Brandon.
What fountain he getting his water from?
Yeah, man, for real. He's over there drinking that fountain of youth or something. Because you got to think like
20 years, right?
Yeah, well, you got to think like he went from a receiving tight end to a blocking, tight end, and now he's just a big blocker. He's going to catch some balls every once in a while, but that's like going, like imagine you start the league as like Rod Woodson. You started as a cornerback, and then all of a sudden you go to safety, or you start as a safety, and then you go to linebacker or nickel linebacker. So he's been able to reinvent his career, and
Yeah.
he's doing some amazing things.
That's amazing.
Yes,
He
sir.
went to UCLA too, but he definitely graduated before. He's 40 years old, man.
Yeah, he was a few
he's
years after
40.
me.
Mhm.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
40 years. He's my age, and he out there still playing.
He's not there,
At a high level too.
Yes, sir.
bro. I guarantee you, Caleb's gonna drop some dimes his way, man. Just to give it to him out of respect. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean,
It's
you
gonna
probably have Kemet most of the time, and then they'll put him in on first and second down. But if you run a little bit of play action, drop him a little dime. Like my guy needs to get a couple touchdowns this year. Why not?
Hey, big
Let's
red
go.
zone target. Big red zone target.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, we appreciate you. We understand that Caleb is a rival of yours. You know, you going to UCLA and everything, and him being a USC Trojan. But we appreciate the props that you're giving him and the good words that you say about him.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, I mean, I think like my brother was my biggest rival. You know what I'm saying? So even here in UCLA, like we're 10 miles apart. Our schools are
Yeah.
10 miles apart. And I really appreciated USC because they had a lot of hot girls. So I would go over there and date the co-eds. I would steal all their girls. But like honestly, like when you've done everything that I've done and you've come as far as I come, like you can appreciate that the competition is that close because they're always driving you. And it's not only an athletics thing, but it's also an academic thing. But it's a great school. I mean, it's an expensive school. It's a private school, and UCLA is a public school. But we drive each other. If you look at the most national championships, it's always going to be between like Stanford, UCLA, and USC, and those are all California schools. And I'm talking about all the different sports. Then also, comes to academics, and so there's a lot of opportunity. But those are, like you even look back, you got Northwestern, you got Notre Dame, you got a nice little hub of great schools right there in the Midwest, and we're lucky to have all these great schools right here close to us. So like, as you mature and you figure it out, you're like, oh, this is why this institution is so great because they got other institutions so close. Whereas people can like, oh, why not go to USC or why not go to Pepperdine or why go to UCLA? And it's a race to see who can give the community and give the students and make California a better state. Just like, some of the same things you got going on in the Midwest and the great schools that we got in the Midwest as well.
Indeed.
Brandon, thank you so much for your time, man. We appreciate you. We know you got to get back to the little ones and all that. So, is there any parting, like where could we find you? What's going on in your life, and some parting, thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, if you want to find me, it's Brendon 310, not Brandon, BRENDON 310 on Twitter and on Instagram. That's probably the easiest way to find me. Just parting thoughts wise, I'm excited for another exciting football season. I don't think football's every year, somehow, some way, it gets more and more exciting. And the two things I love football season. I love the UFC, and the UFC is as good or even better than it's ever been. So there's just a lot of great things going on in the world athletically. So let's always keep it positive. Let's love each other. Let's not worry about this presidential, like vote for whoever you want to vote for, whoever you think is going to make the country better or serve the things that you want to see. Like in Chicago, I want to see an end to violence. I want to see more importance on education. I want to see people. Chicago's always been a gun-toting state. Like, how can we protect Chicagoans? People that commit crimes, how can we put them in jail? Same things in going on in Miami. Same things going on in Los Angeles. But don't hate on people because they want the country to be a better country. Go ahead and make a difference and vote for the person you think is going to, make our country better. Sorry to talk politics. And then football. Cool. Let's have an amazing football season.
Good.
Let's get together, go break some bread with some people that you haven't seen. Reach out to somebody, tell them you love them, spend some time with them. Go catch a football game. Go catch some UFC. Go to a museum. All the best museums in the country are right there in Chicago. So do something positive, make an impact, man, and let's just continue to enjoy life and love on each other and do something positive.
Right on, man.
Yeah, for sure. Hey, Brandon, have you ever been to that Monterey Bay Aquarium?
Yeah, I have been. It's been a long time, but I've been there.
It's crazy, ain't it? It's like,
yeah, that's a cool aquarium.
It is. Okay, BJ, Darius, it's like the Pacific Ocean with glass around it. It's like legit. It's so cool, man.
You see out to the ocean, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So the aquarium is the ocean.
Yeah. Yeah, the
Part of it
glass.
is, yeah, you could, there's a glass, like you go down and then there's the glass and you can kind of see out. But Shed's a dope aquarium too.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, no, take nothing away from that. But so, yep. All right. Well, we'll see you soon. And hey, thanks again for answering the bell. We appreciate you speaking life into everybody, man.
Yeah,
So,
BJ, Brandon, D-Lock, it was a pleasure talking to you guys, man. Thank you guys for
Hey,
having me on.
Brendon, pleasure,
Hi, man.
sir. Wish you well in all your future endeavors, and thanks for coming on, man.
Thanks, gentlemen.
Thank you. It's been a blessing.
How did he do that, man? He freaking, oh man, that was cool. Man, like just when you think like he's just rolling and this might be one of his first or whatever, he pops the balloons at the end, you know. Like how do you do that? You guys know how to do that?
Yeah, that's one of them them iPhone
he's on his
he did it on the phone. He's on
did it on the phone.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
Mm-hmm.
He had it ready too. So yeah, man. So that man, talk about cool, man. Talk about a nugget. Like I wasn't even expecting us to go in that direction. Were you guys? That was pretty cool, man.
Hey, it was solid. Hey man, he's a solid dude, man.
Yeah.
Very deep, man. Very deep, man.
I enjoyed him. I enjoyed him a lot.
This is probably one of our favorite interviews, right? I mean, am I? Yeah.
And you can see his passion in the way he speaks, man. You know, and his play.
And he was genuine. He was super genuine too. Like, you know what I mean? I felt everything he was saying came from his heart. You know what I'm saying? I felt it was super genuine.
Mm-hmm. And it matched his play on the field, man.
Even when he capped on my name, I wasn't mad at him. So you know, like you know, and then I was expecting something about the USC, you know, because there's always that. But he was cool about it, man. He let that USC stuff slide, and you flipped it up, Darius. You said he was from USC, and then you switched it back to UCLA, and he didn't get you on that. When I did that with Mark Carrier, he goes, "That's your first mistake and your last."
Oh
yeah. Remember when we had Mark on? So, but yeah, man. So you guys got any part? Hey, real quick, have you guys had a chance to watch the episode 4 Hard Knocks?
Oh yeah, that was good.
What'd you guys think?
Good, man. I mean, you know, it was you know, it became a little somber, you know, when we saw Ian Wheeler tear his ACL. You know,
that was sad, man.
That moment with him and his mom, you know, but it was a great thing that, you know, Pose called him in and was willing to bring him back.
Yeah.
You know, cut day is always a compelling thing for those guys because they work so hard, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
All year long, just to, you know, be prepared for the moment to be a part of a roster. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, it's always, you know, that's one of my favorite parts of Hard Knocks, you know, even though, you know, some guys, you know, get, you know, fired for lack of a better term, you know. But, you know, you just see the pain in these guys. There's a lot of guys that really care. I think next week is going to be good as well.
You know, and I want to say something really quick that kind of ties in with that because it's felt like in the past you talked to some Bears players from back in the day that some of the parting wasn't so, you know, happy day or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
It was almost like transactional. I feel like everybody that's in the house right now, Poles and company, they're making it like a relationship type thing and not transactional.
And that's how it should be. That's how
and I really and I really feel like because they're creating that culture that more people are going to look at this and be like, hey man, if I'm a free agent, let's go. If I'm getting drafted, this is where I want to go. And they're really turning it around. I mean, at a very, you know, fast level, you know, and that's good, man. That's good.
Yeah,
So,
I totally agree, man. I totally agree. The way Pose and company is handling these things and it's pretty regal, man. You know, and it will. I think it will attract. You know, especially going into the way that he's paying the guys that's been here, rewarding the guys that's been here and been doing their job. You know what I'm saying, at a high level for years. You know, that's a real attractive thing when it comes down to free agents. So, you know, Pose and company is really putting on a good. You know what I'm saying. A good show, well, not a show, but just, you know, having a good face when it comes down to, you know, the rest of the league. You know, because we can't forget that this is a business. but you don't have to be a jerk.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes, and we've all worked for both types, you know.
Yeah.
Like I was told in the military, you can respect the uniform, but you don't have to respect the man in the uniform. You know, there's a difference. You know what I'm saying? And you starting to talk to me like, you know, like we respect each other. It works both ways. So I'm gonna respect that uniform, but I'm not necessarily gonna respect you and talk at that level. So but I do want to say something really quick before I plug next Saturday with Doug Plank at what do you call it at Worth Stadium Club. Tonight was a very special event, boys. BJ, I hope you can make it out. I know you're you know very very busy. I don't know if you're going to be visiting family or whatever in Chicago next weekend and coming out to the Bears game week 1, but Saturday that's when it's going to be at. So tonight was a very special event in the sense that forever when I first came in the military and I was in the Middle East and I came back to see my buddy who's from this area, we went out to Bridges Scoreboard and I wore my Cracker Jack, you know, Navy outfit because some people were telling me that if you wear your military uniform, they'll let you, you know, people will buy you drinks, you know, and we didn't make much money. So I was still, you know, getting out of boot camp. And I think even as an E5, I made $990 every 2 weeks. And that was including hazardous fire pay tax-free in the Middle East. So it's not a lot. That's 2 weeks of pay working around the clock. So getting back to my story is that, you know, I came and I visited Griffith and I went into Bridges Scoreboard. That's where I met Scott and Jeff. Really nice guys, and I saw what they brought to the table. All of, you know, the Bears legends, Chicago legends, you know, Dennis the Worm, all them boys, and I was just like, man, this is it. You know, I just, it was awesome. So when I started thinking about this podcast thing, like Bridges was for me, you know, and Beach, you've been up there. What was my spot, man? I like if I could get in there and podcast, you know. And you saw that, Beach, like what it meant to me. But today, this is like the Rock and Rail Fest that I was at, and they've had 15 years. And I believe that it was either 4 or 6 years that the Chicago Six has been there. I know Hampton put it back together in 14. And then I think it was 16 is when Mongo started to get some of those feelings of his ALS and whatever. But man, to be there in that moment, to be able to interview them, and then the 40-year anniversary of the 1984 Cubs and all of that, and to be out there answering you know, asking those questions and highlighting their illustrious careers in front of a sea full of people from the surrounding area coming from Chicago, from Griffith, my town that I'm in, and the surroundings, and be able to say, you know, Chicago sports, it wasn't so much Brandon Hyde, it was us, bro. I brought you guys with me, you know, and it was and you guys helped get me there too. I mean, it was like a really epic moment. It's like, you know, I don't even know in terms of, you know, at the Hall of Fame, Canton, and being able to be there for Mongo and Hester and all that was really special. But your hometown, man, it just hits different. You guys know what I'm saying.
Absolutely.
So and today I asked you know, about my son coming and my family, and I mean, this is cool, man. This right here, man.
Yes,
this
indeed.
Is with my son and me, you know, and me and Otis. And my son asked, he goes, Dad, is the Junkyard, is he gonna play next Sunday? And I was like, you know what? Why don't we wait and see? And I'm thinking to myself, maybe he won't be wanting to play his, you know, Fortnite or something on Xbox, and he'll watch the whole Bears game with me, you know? So I was like, why don't we wait and see if Otis? And I told Otis he goes, hell no, I ain't playing. But, you know, and then here's the Cubs, you know, you got Bobby Denier, the leadoff guy, and then Tim Stoddard, the big old reliever and whatnot. And he's supposed to be Bobby's lifetime, you know, bodyguard. And I look like I could be his bodyguard too, right? You know, But just really cool, man. You know, I could have got a better picture instead of those toilets outside. But and then here's my pass, man, and all of that, and just really
Man, that's
cool,
dope,
man.
man.
Yes.
Dope, man. For
Dope.
real.
Yeah, it was cool, man. I wish you guys could have been there, but I'm trying to bring it to you in this shape
I
or form.
appreciate that. That was
Congratulations,
dope.
man. Much appreciated, man. You deserve
Yeah.
it, man.
And you guys do too. That's why I'm sharing it right now, because you guys are Chicago sports, and it wouldn't be the same without you at all. Doug Plank next Saturday. Shout out to Kirk. Kirk made this Shuffling 85, and Doug Plank is going to be there. He's posted it on his Facebook, which was super cool. Come and meet Chicago Bear legend Doug Plank Saturday, September 7th from 1 to 3 at Worth Stadium Club, 6900 West 111th Street, Worth, Illinois. There's a phone number down there, 708-671-8760. Seats are limited. It's got our name down there. And yeah, man, so good stuff coming up. And then you guys heard about our press pass that we got over there for week 1 and moving forward. So good things for CSP. And then we are also back on track with elite icons for that October 1st autograph signing. And that's going to be cool because Keenan Allen's going to be there. And I got a deal where he's going to sign my ball. We're going to take a picture, maybe a quick 1 to 2 minute interview, because there's going to be a line out the door and I don't want to take up too much of the time. But Chicago Sports is going to be there, and they're our new sponsor. So really cool, man. I got to speak to the dude today. He's just so darn busy, and he's the only shop that actually gets like players, D-Lock, BJ. How cool is that, man? How cool is to have a Chicago Bear give you a new nickname that
Man,
hits
he
hard?
loved
man.
your name, man.
Yeah, man.
What's up, man?
Hey,
That's
you
what's
could
up,
have
man.
been his name could have been spelt Darius in a better way, or a way he thought was better, and capped on it. But no, man, you got the D-Lock. I got the Brandon spelled backwards, you know. So, man, you should be proud of that one, bro. You know, that's cool, man.
Actually, my Instagram is Slick D-Lock, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, really?
Yeah. If
Okay.
I'm not, I can't never remember. That's crazy, but
Yeah.
How you
I
don't
think-
remember your own name?
Cause I'm not really a social media head like that, bro. So you know what I'm saying. But I think it's Slick D-Lock. You know what I'm saying. You follow me. You can check and see.
I know. I follow you.
Yeah, I probably do too.
But yeah, that's man. Listen, I'm honored, man. It's always great. You know what I'm saying. When you kind of like meet the guys that you have watched over the years. Play for your team.
Yeah.
And hey, anytime somebody can give you a nickname, bro. You're doing something right. So I'll take it.
Bro, this moment today, the date, August 29th, 2024, you're going to remember for the rest of your life, bro.
Yes,
that's
indeed.
so cool, man. Yeah. But
Frame this moment.
Yeah. I'm going to forget mine with the Brandon spelled backwards, but it's all good, man. I'm used to it, bro. There's a lot of other names floating out there that I'll take this one in a hurry. Go ahead. I don't mind. So yeah, boys, lot of good stuff. I hope you guys can get out here and visit. I'd love to see you, give you guys a big bro hug in a not weird way, but it's long overdue. I at least met BJ, a little bit ago, so that's cool, But,
hey, listen.
We gotta get you out here, Darius.
I listen. I will not come to that city, nowhere around it, and not let you know that I'm there or around.
Okay, all right.
Sure.
I'm gonna drop the low as soon as you get there. I'll come.
For sure. My my family's still there. I have a lot of family still there.
Yep.
So it's just with me. Most of the time, I'm just trying to make sure my family's good, and I'm handling business around it. I'm kind of like a workaholic, man. I hate to admit
you
that,
are.
but I've been told that a lot, and I've been in denial for years. So what I'm saying. I just I don't like the feeling of not being stable. So I just try to stay on. I'm a grinder, man.
Yeah.
So that's just I guess sometimes I got to get talked up out of that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So yeah, but I trust me. I would not come up there and not let you know, because I want I want to go by Bridges. I want
Yeah.
some serendipity ice cream.
Oh,
You
dude,
know, I
go.
want I want pizza. I want all that.
Well, make sure you fast before you get here, so that way when you get back, you got less to lose. Okay, because it's gonna be.
Yes, indeed.
We're gonna count those calories up. There'll be more calories and less steps when you're here, bro.
I mean, I won't go too hard, man. I just want a little taste
It's
of
impossible
everything.
not to go
Little
hard in
nibbles.
Chicago. It's impossible. It is impossible not to go hard.
Man,
Right.
don't I know it? Don't I know it?
Don't I know it? You guys got any parting thoughts or anything you guys want to talk about before we roll out?
I'm just excited about next week. Next week is just. I mean, I'm ready for it to be here.
You talking about next Sunday or just football in general, like the start of, you know?
I'm excited about the Bears. I don't give a damn about nobody else. I only care about the Bears.
I knew you were gonna say that. I baited you, BJ. I know what you told me that before. So some dusty thing came up, and you're like, "What are we talking about, man? Are we talking about the Bears?" I'm like, no. So yeah, man. I am too, man. I am too. And you know what? It's not. I don't have. I wouldn't call it fear, boys, but I would call it cautiously optimistic.
Absolutely, you gotta be.
Yeah.
But there was a different cautiously optimistic throughout the years. Like I'm always optimistic as a Bear fan, but there was always just like some stench on it or something. This year I feel like it's not coming from the gut, like oh man, you know, like that.
It's not sour, but
no,
you know, you want to make sure what you're feeling is legit. You want to make sure what you feel is legit and not playing tricks on you.
Yeah.
Right. And even after that, we're still going to be cautiously optimistic because we're going to wonder when the honeymoon is over, right? So it's just going to be like some people are going to pump the brakes and other guys like Pinky are just going to be just high flying the whole.
It's the first year. You have to go into it.
I love Pinky
with the understanding that it's not going to be perfect.
Hey, man.
If it is perfect, great. But you got to go into it that it's not going to be perfect.
Guys, could you imagine if we start off like 2 or 3-0? We got to get Pinky back.
It's possible. It's possible.
Yeah, but you know what that's going to do to Pinky, right?
First of all, Pinky's already gone. So
we got to try to get him in here. If we get a streak, we got to try to get him back in here as a guest or something.
Nah, we just talking about his feelings toward this schedule and the Bears. He's already out of here.
No, that's what I'm saying.
He's tied to a rocket.
Yeah. He's already gone.
Yeah,
he's already gone. Okay.
He's tied to a rocket, man.
Yeah, he's tied to a rocket. About him gone like he got it. No, I'm talking about he mentally gone.
Yeah.
Mentally gone.
Yeah, man. We one step closer, fellas. One step closer to, you know what I'm saying? I think as fans, we should root hard as hell for these guys, but we just gotta keep it in the road, man. You know, because we hurt ourselves when we get up too high and then something don't go right, we fall low and then get high and fall low. Nah,
that's where that bipolarism comes in.
Yeah, we gotta keep this thing in the road, man. We gotta keep this thing in the road, bro, and we'll be all right.
Bipolar.
Yeah,
bro, you guys.
Next minute we sad, we angry.
That's like the weather out here lately, man. It's been hot and cold and all kinds of storms and crazy. But hey, I will tell you this much, guy. I was listening to. Well, I was telling people were listening, you know, because I was the moderator. But one of the things back in the 80, 84, 85 that Ditka used as a motivational tool was he brought up the like success that the 84 Cubs had, and he was using that to motivate them, and it worked. Well, here's the deal: if everything works out to, you know, some sort of higher level that we're not used to, right? And now the Cubs can become the motivational tool for other Chicago teams around here, you know, whether it be the Sky, whether it be any of the baseball teams, whether it be the Bulls. God, please, the Bulls, baby. Come on, baby. I want some good Bulls, man. Ever since Michael stopped dribbling the basketball around Chicago streets, man.
The Bulls in disarray. Don't expect nothing anytime soon.
Hey, man.
No.
Honestly, I'm starting to feel a little bit better about what they have going on. I'm not gonna lie to you.
With the Bulls?
Yeah. You listen, man. I was down on them guys, but they really put, what I'm saying, they really took the lemons that they've been given and really made lemonade. Now we'll find out how sweet it is. But hey, when you thirsty, ain't nothing like a nice cold glass. But I'm feeling a little better about the Bulls. I'm not getting championship vibes, nothing like
feeling
that.
at all.
But I like the way this roster is kind of shaped
BJ's
up.
so hard on the Bulls, man.
Yeah. I mean, but it's
I ain't
easy,
mad at him though.
it's easy to be hard on them, but I kind of like what they have going on. I like to see the way Billy and company kind of adjust to the players that they have. But it's
Just give us an appetizer, D-Lock. Just give us an appetizer because you're giving me ideas and vibes where we could actually make this into a not bear-centric podcast because it's been a minute before we talked about any of the other freaking Chicago sports lately, guys.
They haven't given us a whole lot to speak on, right?
No.
Yeah.
So yeah.
But I'm feeling a little better about the guys, man. I like the collection.
Yeah.
I like the group of guys that they have there. Like I said, it's not championship vibes, but if it's done right, I think we can be a competitive group. And
but it's contingent. I think this upcoming year is really contingent on two people.
Go ahead.
How well Ball comes back from his injury, and since we're keeping him, how well Zach LaVine can work with everybody and get along with everybody and coexist with the team and play within the structure of the system.
Can I ask you guys a
figure out
question?
what the system is, though. That's listen. Like like I said, I'm gonna lay off of Arturus and I'm gonna lay off on I'm gonna lay off them. Now my focus is on Billy Donovan.
Okay.
I'm not a big fan.
I mean, I respect Billy because we've had a pretty decent defensive group. You know what I'm saying? We just haven't had a real good identity offensively. So
that's
like I said,
though. That's important.
No, absolutely. But hey man, this league is something else, man. And for us to really have the thing that we need offensively, we need that guy in the building. We don't have that guy in the building. Like a lot of these other teams have, they have the Giannis's, the Halliburtons, the Edwards, the James, the Hardens.
But we're not going to get that guy unless we have a product that guy wants to come to play for.
But I don't think like the Bulls. I don't think the Bulls, is like kryptonite to anybody. I just think we have to build a proper structure. And like I said, are they gonna keep Billy, or are they gonna let him go?
I don't think they should.
Let's drop it on that note and savor that, and we'll circle back and we will unpack those bags because this is a good place to stop, guys. Hey, guys, thank you so much for answering the bell. I appreciate both of you. The other guys will be back, and this is what I like about our culture. If Beej, myself, Darius, we got something to do, we take care of each other, and we keep feeding our our guys, Chicago out there with what we got, and we appreciate every one of you coming out tonight and spending time. You could spend time on any other platform, any other podcast, whatever, but we appreciate you putting us in your ears and on your television. And please hit that like button, man. We appreciate you guys. Thank you so much.
For sure.
Yep. All right, guys.
All right.
Bear down, man.
Bear down.
Hang on 1 second.